Welcome back, Cheap Air Gunner channel. I'm Cherokee Steve. I'm going to be doing some velocity testing with the 1322 entirely stock. All I'm going to be doing is going through various levels of numbers of pumps. I'm going to do 5 shots at 5 pumps. I'm going to do 5 shots at 10 pumps. I'm going to do the same at 15. I'm going to do the same at 20, and I'm going to do the same at 25. I am going to be going beyond the recommended 10 pumps that Crossman, recommends be the highest number of pumps you can get. But it's going to be necessary later when we go to compare each group of pumps, 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25 stock versus modified. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with tons of minutes of pumping and shooting. I will go ahead and do one of each, one shot at 5, one at 10, one at 15, even though I'll be doing more shots. And then I'm going to take the average velocity of that 5-shot group, and that's what I'll use overall. Okay, so let's get started. What I'm going to be using pellet wise, I'm going to be using these Falcon domed pellets. They are 13.43 grain. I just got a fairly large tin of them and got quite a few, so that'll serve my purposes for doing all these shots and getting some average velocities. Okay, so let's start out. We'll do the 5 pumps. I'll do 5, but we'll just show 1. Okay, now I'm moving up to 10 pumps. Okay, 10 pumps, stock 1322. Nice velocity. Okay, let me get those rests shut off, and we'll move up to 15 pumps. I do not recommend going beyond the 10 pumps if you have a stock Crossman 1322 or 1377. This is something I'm just doing to compare the versions between stock and modified, which we'll get to later. "15 pumps with the stock 1322. Let me get the 4 others shut off, and then we'll move up to 20 pumps. This is becoming a workout. Up to 20 pumps on the stock 1322. Okay, 25 pumps. Stock 1322. Okay, let me get the rest of those shots fired off. I'll come back. I'm kind of winded from the pumping. I'll come back and go over the average velocities for each 5-pump group. Okay, before I go over those numbers, I wanted to give just a couple of quick impressions I have of the pistol itself, and its handling and some of its characteristics. Number one, it might be because of all that increased pumping I was doing, but something I did notice fairly common, and that's the play in the pump arm. When it's extended, the side to side play that it has. So that's one of the things I'll make a note of and try to address while working on the gun. The other thing I noticed, the trigger. You know, the Crossman 13 series, as well as, you know, some of the 22 series CO2 rifles as well, are kind of notorious for not having really great triggers, and I would say that that's the same with this case. I struggled with accuracy down here in my basement. It's approximately 30 feet from my shooting table to the target, but it was very unpredictable about as far as I go in my familiarity with the pistol itself. You know, when it was going to break, I kind of really struggled with getting a consistent feeling of when that sear trigger was going to be activating the sear and get that pellet fired off. The trigger has got a long pull and a very heavy pull, so that's another thing to make a note of, and I'll try to be working on when I go to work on the gun. But getting back to the velocity numbers, that's the main part of the video. That's really what I wanted to get down to. I was very impressed with the stock performance of the gun. The average for a 5-shot group at each level of 5 pumps. First of all, of course, was the average at 5 pumps. The average velocity was 376 feet per second. Now remember, the maximum velocity that's claimed on the packaging is 460 feet per second. Now, I guess I can assume that's with a standard Crossman 14.3 grain pellet. These Falcons I was shooting were a little bit lighter, 13.43, almost a full grain lighter. But regardless, keeping that in mind, the average 5 shots at 10 pumps each was actually 492 feet per second. Very impressed with that. Average velocity, 5 shots at 15 pumps was 541 feet per second. Now that's I'm beyond Crossman's recommended 10 pumps. That's a pretty big, significant jump. That's almost a 50 feet per second just from that 5 extra pumps going from 10 to 15. At 20 pumps, 5 shots, 20 pumps, the average velocity was 581 feet per second. Okay, so that jump up, that 5 extra pumps from 15 to 20 got me 40 extra feet per second. So 10 to 15 got me 50 extra feet per second. 15 to 20 got me 40. Now, still, I'm extremely impressed with these velocity numbers. 5 shots at 25 pumps. The average velocity was 595 feet per second. Now, we really start to see a taper down on the increase in velocity with an extra 5 pumps. Now, going from 20 to 25, that's a 14 feet per second increase. Whereas as I said earlier, we had a 40 feet per second increase between 15 and 20. 20 to 25 is only 14. Now that's what that is a good sign of is the valve in its stock form is achieving the maximum amount of air that it can hold. As a matter of fact, what I'll do here, since I fired off the last shot at 25 pumps, I'm just going to point this down range, and we're going to see if the valve retained air. Is there any air coming out without pumping it at all? All I did was cock it. There did seem to be a little bit of air there. There was more than just the sound of the hammer striking the valve pin. So that tells me that we're pretty much maxed out. The valve is holding as much air as it possibly can, given the area inside of it that can hold air. It's actually holding a little bit more air than it can get, at least with the opening and closing of the valve poppet. That's opening, allowing the stored air in the valve out into the transfer port into the barrel. So 25 pumps, 595 feet per second, which only got a 14 feet per second increase over 20 pumps. But that seems to be a point, pretty confident in saying that that's about as much air as this stock valve is going to get into it. Actually, probably a little bit less. Now, the modifications that will be made will address that, and I'll get into that in more specifics as I do the modifications, but let's focus on the stock velocities. 5 pumps, 376 feet per second. 10 pumps, 492 feet per second. 15 pumps, 541 feet per second. 20 pumps, 481 feet per second. 25 pumps, 595 feet per second, with a 13.43 grain pellet. Now we'll come back after the gun is modified, after the gun has had power modifications made to it and other modifications, and we'll recheck everything and see what kind of increase we see, if we see any increase at all. So stay tuned, and hopefully the next video I can start tearing down the pistol, and we'll start getting into the inner workings of it. Okay? Thanks for checking out this video. Stay safe and shoot safe. Take care, everyone.